Jen and Jamie on a Thursday.
Hey there, everybody. Guess what day it is? It's Thursday, so that means it's time for What's in the Lunchbox? And what is in the lunchbox last week was
A wagon.
a wagon. So obviously nowadays you probably have this type of wagon in
Yeah.
your garage. I'm guessing that the reference wasn't a covered wagon like in the Oregon Trail. This one would have been like that radio flyer little
Yeah.
red wagon. Unfortunately, we didn't find any reference to like
Red wagons.
red wagons or Mary pulling Jesus on their way to
No, sorry.
the town.
But the Bible does mention wagons quite a bit.
a lot.
A lot, actually. So we can go all the way back to Genesis.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Genesis 45. Joseph instructed his brothers to bring his other brothers and his father and their families all to Egypt in wagons.
And then in Numbers, we see that the leaders of Israel offered 6 covered wagons and 12 oxen as a gift to the tabernacle.
Yeah, very valuable. Quite the currency those
Yeah.
days, wagons. 1 Samuel chapter 6 talks about how the Philistines used a new cart or a wagon to return the Ark of the Covenant to the Israelites so that it could be with God's people again.
And then we jump into Acts, which this one is a little bit, I think they took a little bit of freedom with this one, but it talks about Philip baptizing the Ethiopian eunuch who was riding in his chariot, or other definition, wagon. Obviously his chariot was a little bit fancier of a wagon, but it had the concept of wheels and something pulled by an animal. So
Yeah. In Zechariah chapter 6, Zechariah ends up seeing 4 war wagons pulled by different colored horses. So wagons really were, I mean, there's more. Obviously, we can talk about the Red Sea, and the Egyptians ended up with their wagons in the water and all that kind of stuff. There's so many different references to wagons. But for the people in Bible times, this was a great tool to get from place to place.
with lots of stuff.
With lots of stuff. You and I have the luxury of throwing our suitcases into the trunk of our car and driving to our next location. But they didn't have those same methods. They had to walk, they had to use their animals, they had to get around from place to place by foot most of the time. And so wagons made that journey a lot easier.
Yeah, so while the reference isn't baby Jesus on the way to church with his mother Mary,
No,
pulled out a
but I
wagon,
bet this would have helped keep him from getting lost at the tabernacle.
it might have, because and then he could have
In the
had all his
temple.
stuff, his water bottle, his goldfish crackers, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. But yes, obviously wagons back then too were something that were using what they had around. So they had animals to pull them, often pulled by donkeys and horses and other oxen, obviously, that was
Large
traded. Nowadays, if a wagon has to get pulled, it's usually by a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa or an aunt or an uncle. So it's the human force of it. But I kind of wonder though, like, because this goes all the way back to Genesis, I kind of wonder what the first, who was the first person sitting around going, if
We can make this easier.
if we built a box and some round things to make them roll,
Yeah.
I wish I could be a fly on the wall sometimes back in days when things were invented, because
Yeah.
I'd really love to see who was sitting
Like Big
around
River's wagon.
inventing the wagon, because
Yeah.
clearly it goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Genesis 45, anywho. All right, well,
What's in the lunchbox?
It is.
wait a second, I can't tell what that is. Is that a car engine?
It is. So Kathy Herbst commented that she had an extra car engine in her
So not
garage.
not
like one that's
in her
currently
car.
in your car, from what it sounds like. This is just extra, laying around. Got a car
I mean, I know
engine.
she's got
She's got-
older cars,
yep.
and she was in the car shows and stuff, but
Extra car engine. That's what we're going to be doing.
you guys have definitely not made this easy.
I bet those are in the Bible, no problem.
Thank
Just
you
like
for
wagons.
participating, but car engine in the Bible.
Yeah.
Get
Extra.
engines revving.
All right.
All right, we'll see if we are able to do Bible and engine next week when you view.
What's in the lunchbox? Jen and Jamie on a Thursday.